It's Sunday, February 20th, 2022. It's all about your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and week in review video. Hope you had a great week. Apologize for missing last week's video, but as you saw in the blog post, it was my birthday and just decided to take the day off. So let's get to the headlines that may or may not be impacting your portfolio and financial plan. And as you can see, there's only a few headlines down below. They're the same headlines we've been hearing about over the last few weeks. Nothing new there, but we'll just touch on them real quick and then have some commentary and a recommendation to a podcast that I would throw out there as well. I was only going to put it in my Harmless Wealth email to clients today, but I think I'll share it with everybody as well. You may have listened to it, but the first headline, we'll just talk market real quick. It's been a volatile beginning of the year. The market is down. Again, this is not abnormal, but the few headlines underneath here are contributing a lot to that. Now, the reality of it is, no one really knows exactly why the market's selling off. We find narratives, we attach them to that, and there's probably some truth to them. There's probably other things going on that no one knows. Again, I mentioned this earlier this month, earlier in the year, I guess. It was in January. We had a great year last year, another good year before that. Sometimes people take gains in the beginning of the year. That could be part of it as well. There's these narratives that play into it as well that speed that up. There's people who are investing on margin, which is borrowing, and they're getting calls, and so lots of things can kind of go to this. No one really knows, but I do think these headlines definitely in the short term impact the market. Now, you should know this is coming from me. I don't believe we should be reacting to the headlines. Most likely you're not an individual stock picker. If you are an individual stock picker, you may be holding some names for the last couple of years, which personally I have some of them in my fun account. Shopify being one of them, that is just getting hit real hard. Twilio being another. Not recommendations for investments, but the high growth stocks of the last couple of years that did really well are getting beat really bad right now. Part of the reason is they did so well, there was a lot of gains, they were overpriced, which I think everybody investing in those knew that. And as we get this repricing going forward, we worry about inflation, that impacts all those things. Some of those names were tied to COVID and to the shutdowns and all those things, and now we're hopefully past that pandemic play, that some of those come back down as well. So the point of this little ramble is, picking individual names is not impossible. You can do it. You just have to be comfortable holding them through the good times and the bad, or have a strategy for when you want to take gains and get out of them. A lot of people just go to the diversified funds, own the market, focus on the other areas of their life, which I think can lead to a great portfolio. It can lead to great success in your plan and ultimately get to your goals. So you have to figure out as an investor, what's your goal? Is it to reach your long-term goals and get good growth, or is it to maximize your profits and try to make as much money as you can, which would maybe lead you to a different investment strategy? Both are right for the right person. I don't think one's better than the other. It depends on what your goals are, what your risk tolerance is, and how you go about handling them. So some of us in more diversified portfolios, while the market is down, it isn't as painful as it is if we're in some individual names, the high growth names of the last few years. You could be down 50, 60, 70% in some of those names. Much different story, so investors experiencing different things right now in the same market. Let's get to the headlines. So the first one is inflation and Fed, and what are they gonna do? We know they're gonna raise rates. The podcast I wanna recommend is the Compound and Friends from 2 weeks ago. So my friend and mentor Josh Brown and Michael Badnick have a podcast called The Compound. They bring their friends on every Friday and talk about various market and other investing and planning topics. We had Tom Dwyer on 2 weeks ago, and I thought they had a great conversation about the data that we don't really hear in the market news. So you think about CNBC, local news, whatever it might be that you watch to get your financial news, they have a short amount of time that they can have each topic covered. It's 30 seconds a minute, and they're trying to throw all this stuff out. This was over an hour-long conversation, and they were talking about data points and what those historically have meant and what the story could be from them. Now again, they don't know anything more than you or I or the other people on CNBC, but I thought it was a real good conversation just talking about data points that we don't usually hear about that tell a different story than what's being told in the news. And the reason I sway more towards their story is it's less dramatic, it's less grabbing your attention, it's less fearful, which is not good for the media. The media wants to grab your attention, they want to sell advertising dollars, so they go extreme on the highs and extreme on the lows because they know that those are going to pull you in. Where this was more kind of just, here's the data points, here's what it means, and Tom's prediction was that inflation is going to be dropping off sooner rather than later. So again, I don't share that with you to make a prediction. I just share that with you as another approach to learning and educating yourself and hearing about what's going on from a source that has more time, that's all they do. And really, I don't feel that they have an agenda other than they have a podcast they want people to come back to. They're not selling a book, they're not selling a newsletter or anything along those lines. I just thought it was really well done, and the data points, again, they talked about, I thought were fresh, not something I hear about all the time, and tell a different story. You need to have all the data, or your advisor needs to have all the data, the different angles that it could play out to make a decision about what's the best course of action. And usually the best course of action for the long-term planning is to do nothing and stay the course. Rebalance, if there's an opportunity to put some cash to work, maybe do something like that, but not trying to move in and out of the market, timing things. It's very, very hard to do, as we talked about before. So that is one. The Fed, are they going to raise rates? How many times? In that podcast, I think they said that the market has already priced in, I think it was 6 rate cuts, or maybe it was 4. They priced in more rate cuts than what the Fed said they were going to do. And how do they determine this? Well, they looked at the 10-year interest rate and how much it's gone up. Again, if the market is pricing the future, seeing the 10-year interest rate go up is an expectation of what the Fed is going to do. So whatever their metric was they used, it went up X amount of times, and the Fed has only mentioned raising rates less. So what their thought was that maybe the market has already priced in interest rates going up. There'll be some short-term reaction, but the market may have overshot how many times the Fed is going to raise rates. So it'll be interesting to see that. The other big headline is Russia and Ukraine. That hasn't gone anywhere. It's been there. Expectations were for Russia to have invaded last week, and they have not as of this recording, but they've been doing other things to make their presence felt. Cyber attacks, shutting down the grid, freezing bank accounts, all these different things going on. The article is actually kind of interesting to learn of the more modern, warfare, if you will. It's not always guns and bullets and planes and bombs. There's other ways to cause disruption and pain to countries, which is kind of scary, because what they're doing doesn't set off reaction from the world. As far as if they were to go in and shoot and bomb, then that allows the rest of the world, like the war rules, to go in after them. But since it's just electronic right now and it's not lives being taken, it kind of lets them wreak havoc on Ukraine and do what they want to do and mess them up a little bit without having everybody coming after them. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I've heard people say that they don't think Russia is actually going to actually do anything. It's more of a show, a story, and they're just making their presence felt in other ways. So interesting to see how that, but that's a headline. If they go in, you're already seeing oil prices go up in anticipation. I read an article about gold prices going up as well. So there will be short-term reactions to that, and then we'll go forward. And then the final thing is just to the north, our friends up in Canada, what's going on there. I bring this up, I'm sure you've heard about the truckers protesting against the vaccine mandates and everything that's been going on up there. And last week, the Prime Minister issued an emergency, ruling, I don't know what the word is I want to use, that allowed them to take action against those participating and supporting the protests. And basically what ended up happening was they're able to shut down, freeze bank accounts, crypto wallets for individuals who even just donated to the GoFundMe. So there's a big GoFundMe, they seized it, it did not go to the cause. And I bring this up not to create fear here, but Canada is considered a pretty free country, and we're seeing how the government can come in and freeze bank accounts to people who were just donating to the cause. They weren't even bad actors, they weren't criminal, they just gave money to the cause, and now they are an accessory to this protest and what the government doesn't like, so they can have their bank accounts frozen, their credit cards stopped. And I think it just shows the power that is out there financially, to use financial constraints to control individuals or get things to go the way they want to. Again, I don't share that as fear, I share that as one of the reasons that people are so enamored with crypto. And even though the crypto wallets are being traced through this, if you're truly into deep crypto, you can get further away from the traditional system and kind of have your anonymity protected and move things around. But crypto, the diehard crypto folks, are afraid of governments coming in and controlling the money system, and that's why that provides an out for them. Now, that's not perfect. You've got to get money into crypto, which is through the banks that the government still control, but once it gets there, it's a little more free-flowing. That being said, as we're finding out in other ways, everything on the blockchain and crypto is recorded. So transactions, whether it be money laundering or other things, they can be traceable, and it's not as anonymous as people believe it to be, but you can kind of see how crypto solves a little bit of that concern of what's going on up in Canada. Again, I don't foresee that being a long-term play up there. I don't foresee that being something we have to worry about here, but it is something that I don't think we think about. We accept these, the norms of the banking system and how safe it is and the way things are done, and we don't realize that every day we go into the traditional banking system, we are accepting risk. When we go to the crypto system, it's a lot more risky. Well, the reality of it is there's a lot of the same risks in the crypto that we accept in the banking system, and we're seeing one of those risks that we accept daily is that anytime the government wants to, whether it's constitutional or not, they could come in and shut bank accounts off for a reason that would give them the ability to do so, at least for a short period of time. So I break it up only as this is something that kind of caught my attention. It's not something that I'm afraid of. I'm not moving all of my money out of the banks or anything to that extent, but just that we live in this bubble, and we live in this level of comfort where things are safe, and we think everything is good, when the reality of it is we accept a lot of risks day to day, and they're good risks to accept because, again, I don't think this is going to happen, but we don't live in this society or this world where everything is perfect, and we're not immune. We are not immune to things like that, what's going on in Canada. It could happen here. Again, I don't think it will. I don't share that as a fear, but just as something that's interesting and a use case for where crypto gives individuals a little bit more control, a little bit more safety from the government coming in. Now again, that's not perfect either, because wallets can be traced, they can trace it back. Ooh, got myself blurred. Let's get that fixed. There we go. I'm back at you. That's my sign to wrap this up. So again, I just thought it was an interesting thing that was a tactic they were using. Rather than arresting the bad actors, they're going at them financially to kind of shut them down and pulling some people that are probably innocent just by donating to the cause in with them. So that's it. Not the most optimistic this week. We'll end on the crummy dunk contest, which is not optimistic either. The NBA All-Star Weekend is this weekend. Last night's one of my favorite nights of the year. 3-point contest, skills contest, dunk contest, and the dunk contest was lackluster to say the least. So I'm hoping that 2023 the dunk contest is better, and I think 2024 it's in Indy, so I hope that year it's amazing because I plan on being there. Alright, with that, I will let you go. Don't forget new episodes of The Pursuit every Friday. We've got new episodes of the next episode every other week on Wednesday. That'll be coming this week, the new episode. So hope all is well on your end. Don't forget to check those shows out. Like, subscribe, share, all those great things. And have a great week, and we'll see you all in the next episode.